11 Houston, the definition is pretty good on our monitor here. The color's not too varsity, at least on this set. Could you describe what you're looking at, over?
Roger, you're seeing Earth as we see it at our left-hand window. It's a little more than a half Earth. We're looking at the eastern Pacific Ocean. In the north half of the top half of the screen, we can see North America, Alaska, United States, Canada, Mexico, and Central America. South America becomes invisible just off beyond the terminator or inside the shadow. You can see the oceans with a definite blue cast. See white bands of major cloud formations across the Earth, and can see coastlines. Pick out the western U.S., San Joaquin Valley, the Sierra Mountain Range, the peninsula of Baja California, and can see some cloud formations over southeastern U.S. There's one definite mild storm southwest of Alaska. Looks like about 500 to 1,000 miles. And another very minor storm showing the south end of the screen near the, a long way south of the equator, probably 45 degrees or more south latitude. Pick out the browns in the landforms pretty well. The greens do not show up very well. Some green showing along the northwestern coast of the United States and northwestern coast of Canada.
Hey, world, hold on to your hat. I'm going to turn you upside down. 11, that's a pretty good roll there. That's pretty sloppy, Charlie. Let me try that one again. You'll never beat out the Thunderbird. I'm making myself seasick doing it, Charlie. I'll just put you back right side up where you belong. Roger. 11, Houston, if you could comply, we'd like to see some smiling faces up there. If you could give us some interior views, I'm sure everybody'd like to see you, over.
Okay, we'll reconfigure the TV for that.
Roger. That's Big Mike Collins there. Well, you got a little bit of... Yeah, hello there, sports fans. You got a little bit of me, plus Neil's in the center couch, and Buzz is doing the camera work this time. Roger. Well, I put on a coat and tie if I'd known about this ahead of time. Is Buzz holding your cue cards for you, over? Cue cards have a no. We have no intention of competing with the professionals, baby.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another afternoon 12:33 p.m. live stream, and I will be hanging out with everyone for about 30 minutes or so. Just sat down, put my daughter down for a little nap, just had some lunch, and I am gonna sit right here, shoot the shit with you guys. Let me take a quick sip of water because I've been rushing around. Welcome, one and all. So yeah, I legitimately want to hear what you guys think is going to happen in The Rise of Skywalker. I have my own predictions. I have my own ideas of what I think is going to happen. I'm not married to my ideas, obviously. I want to be surprised. But I'm really curious, you know. Nothing too outlandish. We all know that Star Wars movies are usually pretty simple, right? But we shall see. Is there coffee in Star Wars? It's actually called CAF. CAF, I believe. I'm assuming that's kind of what coffee is in Star Wars universe. I think most canon novels that I've read mention CAF, right? I could be wrong. But welcome one and all, guys. Christian Jet, Vince Wynn, Wolfie Bagging, Stewart, Captain Rex, The Last Jedi, Carter, Dead End, the legendary Husquin? Pogo the Clown, Admiral Cross. What's up, Admiral? Cole Schreiber. Good to see everybody. So, yeah. I guess the latest thing, whenever I dip my toes into Twitter and the Star Wars fandom, I always see people talking about the Benedemption. I always see people talking about how they think he's going to be redeemed and whatnot. And I do believe that. I think that is going to be the case. Do I think he's going to survive the sequel trilogy? I don't. And once again, this is all just me blabbering like a moron with no information whatsoever and just thinking what's going to happen in my brain. But I see him being redeemed in a way that gets himself killed, potentially saving Leia. We'll see. We'll see. Do I care if he's redeemed or not? No. I have no really allegiance to the guy. He's an asshole, right? He killed Han Solo. He killed his father. He's been a piece of shit to everyone. And call it what you will. Call it being pulled to the dark side. Call it being manipulated. Still, you know, the only thing that is redeeming about him are the people that are around him, right? The bloodline that he's a part of. The only heroic thing about him is what he comes from. And he doesn't really seem to embody, at least from what we've seen, a lot of those qualities. Now, my favorite thing, one of my favorite things in The Last Jedi was the connection that him and Rey had. I thought it was awesome. I thought it was really unique. You know, these two characters don't really have anybody else they can rely on. The only people that they can really... I don't know. Kylo and Rey, Ben and Rey, can kind of... I don't know, understand where one another's coming from, right? I don't know. We shall see. We shall see. But yeah, Snoke is a failed clone of Palp. I hope they don't do that kind of shit. Christian Jet, Star Wars Explained, has a pretty good video on why he should be redeemed. Oh, nice. Nice. I'll check that out. I haven't watched that yet. Game Station 3, what's up, man? One thing I'm certain of is that once again there will be a lot of trolls expressing their hatred towards The Rise of Skywalker when it comes out. Of course, man. That's the internet, right? It's the internet. All that shit is monetized now. The louder you can be, the more salacious your headline can be, the more outrageous your words and your actions, and the more animated you are in the webcam. The more people will want to watch you, the more people want to argue with you, the more people that will get their eyeballs on your video. I don't have that shit in me. But yeah. Hello, Mr. Greedo. Did you hear about flashback in episode 9 with Luke and Leia Baggings? No, I don't pay attention to rumors or quote-unquote leaks. For one reason, I don't want to know anything. I don't want to know any details like that going into it. And for another reason, you know, 99.999 repeating of all the leaks and rumors that have ever come out about Star Wars in the past 8 years that I've been doing this channel have burned out to nothing. And most of the ones that were rumors or leaks that came true, the 0.00001%, were things that probably could have easily been guessed, right? But yeah. And there will be a different galactic government. Oh wait, the Republic will be outlawed. The Jedi will be replaced with a new Force sensitive. Yeah, well, I don't know. I'm curious what they're gonna do with all that. But AJ Carabalo 95, thank you so much for the super chat and channel support. First super chat and channel support of the stream. I greatly appreciate that. AJ says, "Sup, man? Not much. Just waiting for my house to be built. Based off the latest Snoke comic, there's a theory that Snoke was possessed by Palpatine the whole time. Thoughts?" Well, first of all, I haven't read the comic. I've seen a little... Let me take a quick sip of water here. Let me take a quick sip. I haven't read the those comics yet. I have seen people post like screenshots from them or scans of them. So I've been kind of out of the loop the past month. I haven't really been paying attention to much Star Wars news just because of freelance projects. But if that's as good of a guess as any, right? Snoke was possessed by Palpatine. I don't really necessarily think that needs to be the case. Can't we have a guy who wants to run the galaxy his way? Can't we have kind of another bad guy, not an equal, but another bad guy? The possession thing, I guess it would make sense, but in my mind, it kind of lessens another character to have that character. You know what? How do I put this? I don't know. It's not a bad idea. It's not something that I think is too outlandish to have in a Star Wars movie, but at the same time, I think Snoke should be his own character. We can have more than one person in the Star Wars universe that is a bad guy who is a good in the Force, I suppose. And not everything needs to rely on characters that we're already familiar with, But I can see it. I can see it happening. Palpatine. Man, I don't know. Palpatine or Snoke being kind of a vessel for Palpatine. I could see it happening. I could see it being the case. I think if that is the case, I think the movies are going to have to obviously it's going to have to explain something with some simple expository dialogue, and it would be relatively new territory for Star Wars films, right? My thing is always Star Wars movies are usually pretty simple, and sometimes I hear a lot of outlandish theories, and I sit back and I go, that's the kind of stuff you hear in comics and books. Most of the time, Star Wars movies are pretty cut and dry, to the point, simple for the most part. But yeah, but I don't dislike that idea, AJ. I don't dislike that at all. But there's going to need to be some exposition. There's going to need to be some education of our characters along with the audience. But yeah, it's not a bad idea, as long as it's done well, I guess. That's everything, right? As long as it's done well. But I appreciate that, AJ. Thank you so much, man. What's your favorite Star Wars sound effect? Christian Jet. Man. It's funny how the smallest little sound effect you remember, right? Like a mouse droid or a gonk, or even the little droid detector thing at the beginning, or when they walk into the cantina in A New Hope. I don't know. I don't know what my favorite sound effect is. That's a tough one. I don't know, man. That's too tough. There's so many iconic, weird, otherworldly sound effects that are just so great. Definitely hats off to Ben Burtt, right? Mine is Luke's green lightsaber. That's close. That's a good one for me. Yeah, of course, yeah. Seismic charge, yeah, that's a good one too. Death Star 2 explosion sound effect, yeah, and heavy lightsaber, yeah. Oh, good. There's so many good ones. I love the kind of non-combat ones. I kind of like the ones that just are in the world. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff. Yeah. Vince Wynn, thank you so much for the super chat and channel support this afternoon, man. I greatly appreciate that. Vince says, I think more First Order will jump ship like Finn. Kylo probably isn't the most agreeable leader. I can absolutely see that happening. One of my predictions has been that Kylo is going to kill Hux. I think Hux is going to kind of overstep his role and be just kind of a thorn in Kylo's side. And maybe when that happens, or when people start seeing now that Snoke's dead, that Kylo is kind of running things a little more, I don't know, a little differently. I can absolutely see that happening, Vince. And I think it would be a fun, man, I think it would be a good way for a little twist, some defectors. And who knows, maybe the planet, I can't remember the name of that planet, but do you know in the trailer when the Finn and Poe and Rey, they walk over that little sand dune and they're looking at a village? I'm curious if some of those people are like first order defectors. I know with the descriptions and everything that we've seen in the photos that they're not described that way whatsoever, but I would love an encampment of first order defectors. I think that'd be pretty cool. Yeah, I've had that thought as well, Vince. I've had that thought as well. You know, if Finn had enough autonomy and wasn't brainwashed enough, and he was able to leave, that means more could leave, right? So, defectors are a real thing, and it would be interesting to see more defectors for sure. It'd be something new, and I like that idea a lot. People in the First Order maybe having some moral dilemmas with what they're doing, who they're fighting for, what their leader is up to. I think it would be interesting for sure. And yeah, I'm still thinking that Kylo is gonna kill Hux. I'm still thinking that Kylo is gonna kill Hux. That's been my guess since after The Last Jedi. When we saw Snoke die, you know, Hux wanted to take up the mantle. It was obvious that he thought he was the next in the chain of command, and then Kylo says, nope, not doing that. And now Kylo is basically supreme leader, and he's taken over everything. So I could see Hux maybe attempting a mutiny, or not even attempting a mutiny, just be a pain in Kylo's ass and just getting cut down. You know, I could absolutely see that happening, but and I would love it. We shall see. Okay, Admiral, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I apologize, man. I've just, whenever I'm not, just had a lot of nonsense going on lately. Nonsense meaning freelance work. One sec.
After a game, stopped my son, complimented the HG sticker on his helmet.
No kidding.
Said he listens to you all the time, is getting his own armor and hopes to be a 501st member.
Duke, that's badass, man. Duke, thank you so much for the super chat, channel support, and the really cool story. That's awesome. Duke says, fun story. Opposing team's goalie after a game stopped my son, complimented the HG sticker on his helmet, said he listens to you all the time, is getting his own armor, and hopes to be a 501st member. That's really cool, man. Man, what a small world. That's really neat. What a small world. I love little stories like that. That's just, I don't know how to explain it. It's mind-blowing, you know? Tuke, I don't think I'll ever understand it. You know, I sit back here behind a microphone, behind my computer desk, and your son is wearing a sticker on his helmet, and another kid on an opposing team is talking about in like the real world, talking about HG. It's so weird. It's such a strange feeling. It doesn't feel real. I don't know why it doesn't feel real, but that's a really cool story. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. Get his own armor and hopes to be a 501st member one day. Nice. Let me take another sip. Man, I have been so thirsty today. Yeah, but does your son have any interest in doing a 501st? It's very time consuming building your armor, and then it's expensive. It's an expensive kind of first initial expense, and then you basically have it your whole life. And also, if he does want to join the 501st, I would tell him to wait until he's in his 20s or so, to where you're not going to get any taller and you're basically going to be that same frame. You know what I mean? You don't want to outgrow the thing that you spend $1,000 on. Oh, he has enough expensive armor. There you go. Real armor. There you go. Oh, man. That's one position I don't know if I have the gonads to play. I guess if you're wearing all the padding, I'm sure it still hurts in certain spots though, right? But that's cool. I appreciate you sharing that story, man. I really appreciate you sharing that story. I've worn my Hello Greedo shirt a few times out and about, usually when I go to the grocery store. People have talked to me about the shirt. I don't know if they're familiar with Hello Greedo or if they just like the shirt. I'm assuming they just like the shirt and think it's weird that the Stormtrooper is holding a beer, right? But yeah, that's cool, man. Jake Stewie. I'm sure I butchered your last name. Jake, thank you so much for the super chat and channel support this afternoon, man. Jake says, could we see another Force Ghost beside Anakin? Well, I don't even know. I'm not going to say we're going to see Anakin, you know. Yeah, absolutely we could, right? Do I think we will? I don't. Do I think we'll see Anakin? I don't. Do I want to see Anakin? Sure. Yeah, why not? But I kind of have a feeling that the only Force Ghost that we're going to see is Luke. That's my guess. Could be wrong. I'm not, like I always say, I'm not married to these ideas, and I want to be surprised. But and like deep down in my gut, I'm thinking that the only Force Ghost that we'll see is Luke. When you start introducing more Force Ghosts and stuff like that, let's say at the end of The Rise of Skywalker, we get a Qui-Gon Force Ghost, an Anakin Force Ghost, an Obi-Wan Force Ghost, a Yoda Force Ghost, and we get all these Force Ghosts, you sit back and go, where were you? Where the hell were you? Not that it needs explained, not that that thought carries any weight whatsoever, because at a certain point, who cares, right? They're on screen. Doesn't matter. But personally, I think the only Force Ghost that we're going to see is Luke. I do. But it would be cool to see some familiar faces in Force Ghost form. But deep down, I really think the only one that we're going to see is Luke. I think they're trying to keep this trilogy, which I appreciate, kind of concise and focused on new character stories with using previous, like, original trilogy characters sparingly, but still kind of there to keep things moving along, you know. But that's just my guess. Now, when I'm wrong and we see a whole bunch of Force Ghosts, I want you to come on my next stream after the movie and say I was wrong. Cool? Cool. But I appreciate that, Jake. Probably too much fan service. Yeah, it's kind of what I'm thinking too, for sure. For sure. Mecha Luke. Yeah, maybe Mecha Luke will come back as a Force Ghost. Ewoks in 9. Oh. I doubt it. But you never know. Has it been confirmed that that is Endor? Like I said, I haven't really been paying attention to much in the past month. Mad Scientist Jr. You know, in maybe there is a canonical explanation for that. I don't know necessarily if there is. Now, I thought there was going to be an explanation for that through and through in the book of Bloodline. I thought that was going to be an explanation because you see the build up and the rise of like a paramilitary organization, and one of the political parties isn't really caring that this organization is building up. And I think, and I want to say, like, I was thinking that was going to be the start of the First Order, and it kind of was it? Oh yeah, it was. I really don't know. Man, I need to read that book again. I have a bad time, like, after I finish a book, I do a memory dump, and I just move on to the next book. Even though that was my favorite Star Wars book. Bloodline was. So I'm not too sure. If you want a good backstory, that might answer some of your questions, Mad Scientist, read Bloodline. It's a really good book. Brendan, thank you so much. Brendan McCallion, thank you so much for the super chat and channel support, man. I greatly appreciate that. My stupid theories are, Rey will find out she was created by Palpatine. Force Ghost Anakin will defeat Force Ghost Palpatine. Oh, man. I hope not. Not to disparage your theory there. Not to disparage your theory, Mr. Brandon. But your stupid theories, as you put it. See, my thing about Rey being like a clone or being a creation or something like that. It kind of takes away what I find interesting about her character. She's a nobody. As Kylo said, she has no place in this story. Her parents were pieces of shit. And I love the idea of a nobody becoming a somebody, becoming a something, overcoming their past, overcoming what they, their situation, their youth and their struggle and becoming something. I love that. And to find out that she was a clone or something like that would feel goofy to me, and would feel like it would just kind of, it's not what they're going for with this character. That's just how I see that. That's not what they're going for with this character. I don't know why everybody is so obsessed with clones and wanting everybody to be clones and blah, 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 blah. So I think Rey is going to be Rey, and I think she's going to be an individual. This sequel trilogy is hyper individual. We have a stormtrooper who defects because he is an individual. We have a pilot who goes against orders because he is an individual. We have Rey, who has no place in the story, and hopefully she's not a clone because she's an individual. And these individuals are going against the grain, and I like it. I like it. And Rey kind of embodies this nobody who becomes a somebody, right? Anybody can rise to greatness, and that's what I like about her character. So no, I hope she's not a creation. I hope she's not a clone. I don't know why everybody's like so wants that kind of stuff to happen all the time. It always feels goofy to me, ham-fisted, and we've seen all that kind of stuff before, you know. So, but yeah, I hope not, Brendan. We shall see. I would roll my eyes, honestly, if I saw that happen in the theaters, but yeah. And Anakin will defeat Force Ghost Palpatine. It's really, man. I'm just really curious what they're going to do with Palpatine. I'm kind of on the same page as you, it seems. I don't think he's going to be physical form. I don't think he's going to be, shooting lightning. I don't think he's going to be doing all that kind of crazy shit. I think it's going to be very subdued. If in his presence. So Force Ghost versus Force Ghost. Oh man, I don't even want to see that. I think I would roll my eyes too, unless it's done well, which I'm sure it would be. The concept of it feels goofy to me. I actually made a video similar to that, Brendan, where I was making fun of something like that. This was probably 2 years ago, and I was just saying like, and all the Jedi and all the Sith, they all go to Force Ghost Heaven, and they have a big battle in Force Ghost Heaven. It's Force Ghost Jedi against Force Ghost Sith, and they're fighting in Force Ghost Heaven. And you guys might remember that video, but I started talking about like a Force Ghost Heaven where Force Ghosts were fighting, and I was joking. So no, I don't want that to happen either. But we shall see, man. I appreciate the support this afternoon, and anything is on the table, right? Anything, no theory, no guess, no nothing is off the table or too outlandish, because anything goes, right? Anything goes. We shall see. And Zach Carnes, thank you so much for the super chat and channel support as well, man. Rey is going to beat the Emperor and get a gold lightsaber, and it's going to end on Tatooine. Oh, one sec.
An alternate dimension where the Jags kick the extra point.
Bruno, my fists were white after that. Not out of like anticipation or excitement, but after rage. One sec, Bruno. Zach, let me read that again. Rey is going to beat the Emperor and get a gold lightsaber, and it's going to end on Tatooine. I feel like they're trying to be overly poetic with this. Well, we'll see. Man, I'm sure there's going to be tie-ins. I'm sure there's going to be things that bring it full circle. I don't know if it's going to be too on the nose. Rey is going to beat the Emperor and get a gold lightsaber, and it's going to end on Tatooine. See, I don't think Rey is going to have any physical conflict or physical interaction with the Emperor. I think there's going to be some kind of, ethereal Palpatine. I don't even know what to call it. I wouldn't even know what to call it. A Force Ghost, I suppose, locked in place. I don't know. But I don't think there's going to be any kind of epic fight between Rey or the Emperor. I think it's all going to be Rey versus Kylo. I think Kylo embodies kind of what the Emperor embodies. And just in a more youthful and more rage-filled and less of a plan. He just wants vengeance, So, man... I don't want to be too outlandish with my speculations or think that I'm married to these ideas, which I'm absolutely not. But I just don't like the idea of the Emperor in physical form coming back and fighting Rey. I think that would feel super goofy. But I don't know. Overly poetic. Ah, man. Like I said, I'm sure, I don't know how much poetry at rhymes will be in there, but I'm sure there's gonna be some full circle things that just bring it full circle, some expository dialogue that kind of paints a broad brush stroke about events and the path and everything that led to this moment, you know what I mean? I keep going back to the way one of the Matrix movies ended. I can't remember, it might have been the third one, but the way like Neo walks into the architect's room and there's all these screens and the architect starts talking about how this has happened before and we see all of Neo's different reactions. I kind of keep going back to that scene and thinking that they're going to do something in The Rise of Skywalker similar. You know, Palpatine talking about all the paths, they all converge here, and there's so many different paths that you could have gone down and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Man, nothing's off the table, like I said. Nothing's off the table, Zach. But a gold lightsaber? Why not? But I appreciate that, man. And Caleb Kemp, thank you so much for the super chat as well, man. Good to see you. Just found out I submitted homework incorrectly. College is fun. Can you resubmit it? I'm sure everybody's done that before, and from my experience, the professors and whatnot are usually pretty cool about that kind of stuff. As long as you just send an email and maybe attach it, if you're not able to upload it to the website anymore, you know, just send it through an email, and usually they're pretty good about. From my experience, their understanding, you know, because the way I see it and the way I'm sure a lot of professors and stuff see it is if you were to turn something in the real world at a work environment, if you were to turn something in and then an hour later email the person that you sent it to saying, oh man, I forgot to add this one part, here, have it right here. Here's the correct file. Here's the correct version. They're not going to care, right? They're going to be like, oh, thank you for correcting that. Thank you for giving me the correct file now. I can see that's kind of how I see it. You know, if I was a professor, I would absolutely add, if something was submitted and then the student cared enough to send a correction after he already submitted it, showing that there is initiative there, that it was on time, and there was only something minor that needed to be changed, why not send it again? Send it again and see what happens, Caleb. Do it. Nothing to lose. Why not? That shows initiative, and that shows that you actually care about your submission, right? I think so, at least. But yeah. I appreciate that, Caleb. And Connor Johnson, thank you as well, man. Clerks will be turning 25 next month. That's hard to believe. I love Clerks is my favorite Kevin Smith movie. I'm assuming that's most people's favorite Kevin Smith movie. I remember the first time that I saw it, and I had this moment where it was so the movie is so kind of rudimentary and simple, but in an awesome way. Like it's simply shot basically in one location. And it's all dialogue, all fast-paced, fun, ridiculous dialogue that you would hear friends talk, the way you would, hear friends talk. And the fact that it's going to be turning 25 next month, that's hard to believe. I don't remember when I first saw it. I think I was like, I wasn't that young when I first saw it. I think I was probably 22 or so when I first saw Clerks. I'm 33 now, so probably 11 years ago or so, I think, is when I first saw Clerks. But that's hard to believe, man. I'm sure it's even harder for Kevin Smith to believe, right? 25 years. Taking a bunch of credit card debt out, making the movie that he wanted to make, and then boom. Turns into Kevin Smith and everybody loves him. It's pretty awesome. I appreciate you bringing that to my attention. I wasn't aware of that, Connor. And Bruno, thank you so much for the super chat and channel support as well, man. My theory is that there is an alternate dimension where the Jags kicked the extra point. I sat there when we got that touchdown. I was at my brother-in-law's house, and we all got up and we were cheering, yeah. And then we were all like, what? What? They're going for it? What is this? This is stupid as shit. And we were so puzzled. And I sat back and I was like, it's the Jaguars. They're not going to get this extra point. Or they're not going to convert this two-point conversion. This is not going to happen. And they decided to run it. Their run game was shit the whole game. And it failed. And it's just, it was stupid. I don't understand the call. Why go for a 2-point conversion? You can kick the extra point. You go into overtime. Your team has been, both defenses have been dominating the field, and you're putting an entire game on a 2-point conversion that the odds are you're not going to get. It was ridiculous, completely ridiculous, and just stupid as hell. That was one of the worst play calls. I mean, I listened to some talk radio on the way home, or sports radio on the way home, and people were like, "Oh, it was a gutsy call, a gutsy call, gutsy call." What gutsy call? Gutsy call. Be strategic with your calls. I mean, it's one thing to do that, you know, in the middle of the game, or fake a punt or fake a field goal. You know, do something fun. But when your entire win or loss is depending on 1 point and you go for a 2-point conversion rather than kicking the extra point and going into the overtime, it's dumb stuff, Bruno. Oh man, stupid. But I'll hop into that alternate dimension, Bruno. I appreciate that channel support this afternoon, man. Bumblebee DT, thank you so much for the super chat and channel support, man. I greatly appreciate that. The worst theory I heard was that Rey is an extension of Luke's hand. And what, like a clone of Luke's hand? An extension of Luke's hand. Well, like Luke's hand grew Rey, and now Rey has like a one man hand. I don't know, man. It's like, that's what I said earlier, you know. I think the sequel trilogy is very much about individuals. Finn detracts from being just a number, from being a stormtrooper, because he's an individual. Poe goes against orders, kind of a hothead, because he's an individual. Rey, she's a nobody. She has no place in this story. She's an individual. And to make Rey a clone or an extension of an arm, it's just, I think people, I don't know why people are so obsessed with that kind of stuff. That's obviously not the story. At least I don't think. If they go that way, I'd be like, what the hell? You had a good thing going. It's just not the way that this is progressing, but well, we shall see. We shall see. I don't know. Nothing's off the table, Bumblebee. Anything could be true, right? We have a 2-year time gap between The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, so nobody knows what's happened in the meantime. Nobody knows what's gone on in those 2 years. We shall see. We shall see. And Harry S. Plinkett, good to see you, Mr. Plinkett. Rey and Ben will come together, bringing balance to the Force. The prophecy was misread, defeating Sheevy Babes forever. Yeah, I could see that happening, absolutely. I don't necessarily know if Ben... Man. I do think that is kind of the course that this is going down. I do think that's something that's going to happen. I don't necessarily know if Ben... I don't think Ben's coming out of this alive. I think there's going to be some kind of sacrifice going on. We'll see. But I do like the idea of the final film playing into the prophecy a little bit and how the prophecy, as you said, was misread. I think that's a fun way to go about it, right? 9 films, we thought the prophecy was one way. The whole chosen one thing... I mean, no, there is another. I like that idea of not a bait and switch, but kind of a oh, this is what it was always meant to be. You know what I mean? I like that idea. I like that idea. I don't, but I don't know how Rey and Ben will come together. We'll see. There was a good moment that they could have done that in The Last Jedi. I thought they were going to. I thought it was going to be a little interesting, kind of a good twist there. But I was honestly a little disappointed that. Well, I say that, but I loved the ending. I loved the way Luke and Kylo were on Crate. It's too tough. We'll see. So much time to speculate between now and the movie. Oh man, but I appreciate that, Harry. And Firewater FX, thank you for coming in with the last super chat channel support before I got a jet. I appreciate that, man. Firewater FX says or asks, do you think 9 will break 1.5 billion? I'm not much of a box office viewer. Let me see. I don't even know what Force Awakens or or let's see. The Force Awakens box office. Why is that not pulling up? Star Wars movies at the box office. So, where's worldwide? Why can I not find worldwide? I don't know if trends if trends go if kind of trends are any indication. The Empire Strikes Back made about $100 million less than A New Hope, than Star Wars. And Return of the Jedi made $50 million more than The Empire Strikes Back at the box office. So it's kind of interesting that the first film, Star Wars, made about $300 million. The second film made about $200 million, The Empire Strikes Back, and the third film made $250 million. So why were more people going to see the first and the third film rather than the second? And I'm curious if the trend is going to go that way for this as well, you know. But 1.5 billion, I don't even know what movie has got 1.5 billion. I don't know. I don't really pay attention to much box office stuff, man. The only time that I do is when I do research for older stuff. I really don't pay attention to modern box office things for whatever reason. It's just never been the numbers game that I've been interested in. If it does, if it does break 1.5 billion, it does nothing for me. If it doesn't, it does nothing for me. You know what I mean? Like, so if it does, I don't even know if it will or not. Like, let's see. Endgame just came out, right? Or box office. Endgame made let's call it 2.8 billion. That's insane. That is insane. Infinity War box office, a little over 2 billion. Force Awakens box office, a little over 2 billion. Okay, so The Last Jedi box office, a little over 1.3 billion. So, yeah, I mean, if trends and examples of the past are an indication, I could see it becoming the middle of the road, right? Just kind of like I talked about A New Hope, The Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. A New Hope and Return of the Jedi made more at the box office than The Empire Strikes Back. So I could see that happening for sure. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see, Firewater. We shall see. I appreciate it, man. And Zach Carnes, thank you so much once again. After the super chat, I got a jet. Zach says, if she is that's gross because that was Luke's dominant hand. Imagine what he did with that hand. Also, Kylo is going to be evil and die, but then repent. Yeah, I guess that's a weird thought, huh? Kylo's going to be evil and die and then repent. That's, man. I would rather that not happen. And if he is going to turn, if he is going to repent, if he is going to kind of see the error of his ways and make a slight turn, I hope it's not when he's dead. I hope he can actually aid in the story and be of help to the cause, not necessarily to the resistance cause or anything like that, but maybe to in a way help Ray, because they can kind of confide in one another, and they kind of can empathize and sympathize with one another as, you know, these two people who don't really have anybody else to that kind of understands where they've come from and what they're going through. But yeah, I do think in some way, not in some grand like redemption arc or redemption moment rather, but I do think in a subtle way Ben will be redeemed, and not even maybe to his desire. Maybe his redemption will be something that he doesn't really see the broad implications of, if that makes sense. He's just helping an individual, but in helping an individual, he brings down everything that he was in command of. I don't know. We shall see. But yeah, that is kind of gross, right, Zach? But I appreciate that, man. All right, guys, I got a jet. My daughter's been down for a nap for about 50 minutes, so which means she's probably going to wake up anytime now. But in the meantime, I'm going to try to bust out a video that I recorded this morning. But all right, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm gonna split real quick. Let me run down the list. Oops. Zach, thank you for the super chat and channel support. Firewater FX, thank you for the super chat and channel support. Harry S. Plinkett, Mr. Plinkett, thank you for the super chat and channel support. Bumblebee DT, thank you for the super chat and channel support. Bruno, thank you for the super chat and channel support. Connor, thank you for the super chat and channel support. Caleb Kemp, thank you for the super chat and channel support. Brendan McCallion, thank you for the super chat and channel support. Jake, thank you for the super chat and channel support. Took, thank you for the super chat and channel support. Vince Wynn, thank you for the super chat and channel support. AJ Caraballo, thank you for the super chat and channel support as well. All right, guys. Appreciate everybody hanging out with me for about 45 minutes. I don't know if I'll be doing a stream tonight. I might end up just kind of laying low and playing some games with my buddies. We haven't played together in a while. So, all right. If I'm on, I'll see you then. If I'm not, I'll see you when I see you. Cool? Cool. All right. See ya.